Speaking to you now close to Thanksgiving 2019, and we thought it would be appropriate to come to our pilgrim display case here in the Heritage Center and talk about these figures that my parents first designed in the late 1950s. At that point, my parents were living in Manitou Springs and raising a young family. My dad was an art teacher and my mother was working full-time in expanding the doll enterprise and raising a family. And they had started a lot of their Christmas figures and their elves and their angels. And my mother's mother, her name is Nana Nick, as I've always called her. She's gonna be an important part of the story of the Simpich dolls. She and my granddaddy lived back in Kansas City, Missouri, in the area where my mother was raised. And the very first Simpich dolls were actually made for both sets of my grandparents. And oh, my Nana Nick loved the Simpich dolls, and she was promoting them throughout Independence, Missouri during the late 50s. And she had encouraged my parents to design a Puritan set for Thanksgiving. Now, this was during an era where there weren't many Thanksgiving decorations. Or fall decorations, really, for that matter. Not nearly what we have now in craft stores and what you see, just available to decorate for this part or this time during the year. And so she thought, if you design a set of Puritans, then they can be displayed on people's Thanksgiving table. And my parents were intrigued by this idea, but a little daunted. It seemed a little difficult. At that point, they had mastered sculpting and then reproducing heads and hands and a few feet. And my dad had worked out a mold making process that was just kind of his own ingenuity mixed with advice from an uncle who was a dentist about how to put these molds together. But the Puritan set would involve a lot of pieces. For instance, the Pilgrim Man, he has 6 different cast pieces that have to be molded and popped out of the mold and then painted and then worked into the figure, and very, very fragile. So they thought, well, let's try a set. Let's try maybe a set or two. And at Christmas of 1958, they presented my Nana Nick and Granddaddy with the first set of Puritans, and it was the Pilgrim Man and his wife and the 2 children. And my grandmother was overjoyed. And Nana Nick started telling everyone in Independence about this wonderful new set of Simpich dolls that my parents had come up with. And interestingly, very soon, in my parents' mailbox, they were receiving orders for more of the Puritan set. And they kind of thought, well, let's see what we can do. But it was wrought with difficulty. The casting process, as I mentioned, was daunting, and they had a lot of breakage. And the clothes were intricate. A lot of time was put into creating their costumes and painting them. And my parents just simply did not see how they could make very many of these dolls. But the orders kept coming, and I would say probably by the mid-60s there was a 3 to 6 year waiting list for people to receive their set Pilgrims. They renamed the set the Simpich Pilgrims, and by the mid-60s you were waiting maybe 6 years to receive your set. And I have talked to people who were just anxiously and happily on the waiting list for their set of dolls, and then some future fall season they would have their set of Pilgrims delivered to them. And this is a set that my wife and I received from my parents in the early 90s, and we were overjoyed to have our own set of Pilgrims. And at that point, they had been refined. Some of the heads have been redesigned, and they had worked out new ways of casting the legs on the father and the son, and working out how to have the son hold the pumpkin and have it not break, and the musket in the pilgrim man's hand, have it not break, and the turkey. Just various things were just constantly being tweaked and refined. And also, I really honestly am not sure when it was, but there was a time that I was looking through some of my parents' old artwork and my mother's china painting, and I found a plate with their set of pilgrims painted on it. And I asked my mother about it, and she said that, well, this is just a plate I put together some years ago. And I said, well, what are you going to do with it? And she goes, oh, I don't know, you can have it if you want. And my wife and I were delighted to receive it, and it's been a treasure of ours ever since. And now it's displayed here in the museum, along with a wood block print and the actual wood block that my parents designed in the late 50s, because they sent out a lot of cards then, and for Thanksgiving and Christmas time, and they printed their own cards, and they did that with lots of their character designs. And displayed here, along with the set of pilgrims that my wife and I received, are the Native American family that were gradually added to this set through the years. And I'll kind of briefly go through each one of the pieces to introduce them to you. I think we'll just start down here at the left end, and so this is in no particular order because these designs came out various times through the years. This is the Native American woman, and my mother designed her. They eventually found some people to do the intricate beadwork, and all of the Native Americans had wonderful beadwork done on them. And again, you can see the detail and really some of the problems that made them difficult to produce, but there was demand to expand this set. And this, of course, was an opportunity for my parents to design these wonderful figures. Now this one, on the other hand, is a one of a kind. I grew up with him in a display case at home, and he was the first, and what for a long time my parents thought was the only Native American that they would have, because it just seemed too difficult to do the clothes and have all of the beadwork and the embroidery on the clothes. So he stood there for a long time, but eventually they had some help to reproduce these figures. This is the Pilgrim Woman, always been one of my favorites. And of course she has the hand-painted fruit in her apron. A lot of time went into working that out, and also her clothes. This is the Pilgrim Boy holding his pumpkin. They tried various things through the years. Extremely difficult to get the pumpkin into his hands. You really wouldn't think about it, but the costume had to be built around the hands already on his body. So that was a special trick that they learned to do when they would dress him. And of course he has the cast legs and feet. Also the Pilgrim Man has the same cast style feet. In later years they redesigned the legs of these gentlemen to be made out of pewter, so that it weighted it and was much more durable than the hydrocal that they used for years. And here we have the Pilgrim Girl holding the Bible, and a beautiful, beautiful portrait head by my mother. And here we have the Native American child holding corn with an intricate costume. Now actually we've come to the first character of the Native Americans that went into production to make a number of them so they could fill orders for people throughout the country. And this is Squanto, and he was the only Native American with the set for a number of years, and then they were able to add more. But he, after that one-of-a-kind one that was around for so long, this was the first one that came along, and he is an impressive piece with a lot of hand work in his painting and also his costume. And this is the teenage Native American boy, which is another beautiful piece that they worked out, and they came up with wonderful ideas for each one to be doing something a little bit different holding something different, doing something different, and again, the intricate costume on him. So there we have it, and this is really just an introduction to what we want to share with you, because this is a big story. Some of it happened before I was born, and I'm very intrigued with that part of the story too. But I grew up with these dolls in my home. I mean, the whole workshop was just right outside my bedroom door. And then the whole operation moved into the building that I'm seated here in now, and so we're excited to share the many stories about the creation of these characters, and my parents' motivation, and then they had an army of wonderful artisans that helped them to reproduce their designs. So we are excited to share a lot about the different sets and the different characters in future videos, because this is a very big story. So right now, though, I want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving.